Mario Kart World already has some crazy time trials, so I thought it'd be a good idea to analyze the early metas, figure out the routes, and show you some tips and tricks on each of the 30 main tracks in the game. Buckle up, there's a lot. From rail hops to shroomless cuts, big jumps to bonk tricks, let's go over the techniques you can use to surpass the competition. Seriously, we aren't even a week in, this game's crazy! So, without further ado, let's get going. Hello! Welcome! We're doing time trials. We're looking at some of the best throughout the first week of launch. Well, first couple days of launch. This first one is by Kyle Wade here on Mario Bros. Circuit. I really wanted to dive into this and see what we could look at for just general tech and all this other stuff. This is an unscripted video. I'm just going off the cuff here. We're watching these, and I'm going to try and give as much insight as I can from... as trying to like break down all this stuff. That's a really cool trick there. I really love that slight skip to get a trick boost. Very smart. Air tricks in this game do give you slightly less of a boost than a normal grounded trick. So, I mean, even then, if you can't get a grounded trick but can get an air trick, it's usually a good call because the slight time you spend in the air can kind of be reduced if you're just ever so slightly grazing the edge, like this right here. He just slightly goes over the edge, does an air trick, gets a slight boost off of it between his mini turbos. Great, genius strategy. I love that. Also, we saw this a bit on lap 1 and lap 2 coming off the rails here, or not here in the first couple corners. Kyle here will jump off this rail, do a hop onto here, jump off into the same rail, get another boost. Because tricking upwards will give you more airtime, slow you down. So you'd want to stay as low and close to the rail as possible. And turns like that and small optimizations like tricking into rails can really help just shave off enough to gain a little bit out of it. Okay, so that's Mario Bros. Circuit. Overall, fairly simple track. We're moving on to Crown City. This track is very interesting. It's a almost linear track. It has a couple of repeating sections, but it's like the city tracks from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Well, the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe versions of tour tracks. But so there's several routes that we'll take throughout this track here. A lot of this is really just cutting corners tight, from what I remember. It's been days since I looked at this, because I've been busy working on other stuff. So, like, half of this is still kind of blind to me, because I tried not to watch while I was gathering this footage, because I wanted to have a somewhat fresh reaction to this. Nice! Okay, very smart left trick off of there to get a bounce off the car for another small boost. Riding down the middle, taking as many trick boosts as possible on these rails. Trick left to help line up better for this upcoming turn. Very tight inside line. Release super early on that mini turbo and just kind of glide into that ramp there. Very tight lines across the board. Beautiful cut in. Yeah, not much really out of the ordinary here. A couple of skips going through some destructible terrain. Lands some more tricks on the rails. He's on the opposite side as he was lap 1. Gets a slight tighter bailout to move on to that corner. He's still got another mushroom, and he's going to burn it up here to do a double on that grass section. Trick up onto the wall, get onto the pipe there. Wow, okay. Nice trick off the palm tree to land in some normal road terrain just above. cut an entire corner without the need of a mushroom. Very, very cool. And we're moving on to Whistletop Summit by VF Tyler. Whistletop Summit is one of the... Okay, this is one of the tracks that I'd seen time trialed a little bit before. This is one of the coolest fucking tracks in the game. I love all of the cool rail tech you can do on this track. Very nice, forcing the bike onto its side to get a tighter corner. Very neat. This right here is awesome. Who needs a mushroom? It's so cool. Hop onto the wall, hop to another pillar, hop back, skip an entire off-road section without a mushroom. Bail off onto this rail all the way over there, bail back onto the track, and then off into some off-road, use a mushroom, complete lap 1. It's a very, very cool track with the amount of tricks you can do on these rails. It really feels like this is the showcase of rails for this game. And, you know, that's very awesome. I think that's... Again, it's stuff like that right there. It's just the ingenuity of these players, and we're like 3-4 days in. Like, it's crazy. Well, this is from 2 days in, I think. But, like, the ingenuity of time trialers already in this game is crazy. We are seeing really awesome tech be developed, and there's been no time. The future for this game is going to be huge if this is what we're seeing already. Like, this stuff hasn't even been fully optimized yet. Also, I'd like to note to everyone that they've taken 2 different routes throughout this track. I have not checked which one is faster, and I'm not sure why they did it. But I do find it very interesting that now they're back on the lap 1 route. That they didn't take lap 2, and anyone in the comments, if they can tell me why they did that, that'd be awesome. I'd like to know why lap 2 is different in this case. Heading on to DK Spaceport by P. This is a very normal track, all things considered. There's not much in the way of tech that I've seen on this, if I remember correctly, but it's really just... Well, there's that corner cut, but it's really just a lot of taking turns tight and like as optimal as they can. Again, to be fair, it's still early on. There's that low jump there to skip another corner. Hold off on the mushroom here, instead opting to go around that corner. Another thing that should be mentioned is that coins really don't matter too much in this game. Really tight inside line on that shortcut there. Very nice. Coins seem to matter significantly less. Somebody did the calculations, very early on. It was something like you gain, 3% speed? At 20 coins, which is nothing compared to what it was in, like, Mario Kart 8. Another interesting thing here, they decide deliberately not to go on the wall. I don't know what this is about, but this was a world record. This looks very conventional. I'm sure it's not the world record anymore, but it was. At the time I recorded this, and also, nice. That was probably the coolest thing in this track, was just sliding under that barrel. I do think that's pretty awesome, but otherwise not much is here. Desert Hills by Grace. Again, all of these at the time they were recorded were world record runs. So, they probably aren't now, because I'm a couple days late, but you know how I am. I'm very bad at editing video together, so... I tried my best to get it all done within the week, so... These are just opening week time trials, so... and... we're looking at them. Overall, DS Desert Hills doesn't seem like it has too much check, it's just a lot of good driving. Taking this really tight, there's taking these really tight turns, edging the off-road here. Otherwise, I'm not sure what else there really is to say about DS Desert Hills. Also, you'll notice a lot of these time trialers don't really tend to air trick as much. And that's because it's not like you get extra boosts for doing air trick. Air tricks are basically purely to help realign. So you'll see them air trick. You'll see them air trick to change their momentum in the air, and that can be very helpful, especially in stages like Shy Guy Bazaar, which I think is next. As that's all about the opening rail cut to get on top of the bazaar. It's a lot easier to do if you air trick into the rail, or air trick left as you carry your momentum to the right to try and help land on the rail easier. Okay, yeah, it is Shy Guy Bazaar. This one's by Zay, Toadette player. You'll notice there's a couple characters that come up a lot throughout this. Okay, no, they don't air trick to get on there. Okay, because I had seen some that go for the closer of the two ropes going up that will air trick left to land on that close rope. This one doesn't, but yeah, there are a couple characters that come up quite often in time trials in this that I found. There's Bowser, Toad/Toadette. I don't know if they probably don't have the same stats, but they both show up about equally. Wario shows up a couple times. That was the only DK on Spaceport. I don't think there's another DK in this that you'll see. But yeah, it looks like, again, meta's very early on. It's very much still developing, but from the looks of things, this is looking to be a very speed-focused meta, much like Mario Kart Wii. Mini Turbo doesn't seem to matter as much in most cases. Some tracks are better with other characters, sure. Like, again, we've Toadette here, who's hauling ass against her faster rival of Bowser, who just can't seem to do it as well on this track. But if I had to assume, it has something to do with cornering at that point, not so much higher speed. Because this track's got a lot more corners, a lot tighter corners. Ones that you can't really skip as easily. So those tracks with like mellower corners and more straights tend to be better off for Bowser, I think. Again, this is all just conjecture, I'm not sure. So, yeah, moving on, we've got Jack on Choco Mountain. Speaking of, here comes Bowser again. So a very early mushroom boost through that there, even though there's a couple cuts later on in the track. I'm not sure if that is the best cut, because I would think that this one there would be better at a glance. Or is this one to the left here? I'm not sure. Maybe it just doesn't cut enough. Good use of the rails there to realign. Get a tight line, even if no boost off of it. Air trick to readjust. Yeah, so he's using those air tricks to kind of nudge him left slightly so he can get that opening corner a little bit better. Because he wants to pull it as tight as possible to get the most out of his mushroom. Yeah, that's what air tricks are really good for, is for realignment. Notice he doesn't trick off of that, he wants to hold a mini turbo into this straight. Tricking would throw off that line. Tricking here helps because it's mostly a straight afterwards. So, I mean, that's the thing. And now you have trick boosts that are more variable. You have two different types of, or two different lengths of trick boosts. So you can... And then he's readjusting back right, because he was slightly off there. He's readjusting left again to get through to here. But yeah, now there's two different, like, durations of trick boosts, so you can kind of more places where you wouldn't necessarily trick in Mario Kart 8 because it'd give you too much boost, you can air trick here and get just a slight bit of boost and make some turns. I'm trying to remember an exact circumstance in this game where that is helpful. I know it is, I've seen stuff on it already, I just do not remember what track I saw it in, where an air trick would be better than a grounded trick. All those are still better than a charge trick. I want to say the charge trick is... I want to say that the charge trick gives you an air trick duration. I'm not sure. I'll have to check. This next one here, another Bowser. This one by Starbo, or S Starbo. Again, a lot of these you'll see just out of the gate. Sure, there are some impressive text throughout some tracks. There's that there. That's pretty cool. Just slightly heading over the edge, getting an air trick, giving yourself a slight bit of boost. Very cool, very cool. A lot of this is just clean driving to start off with, but again, I'm sure that's going to change fairly soon. Some of the other tracks in this game have very impressive lines, very impressive tech. Stuff like the opening of Airship Fortress is insane. I love the opening of Airship Fortress. I think some of the new cuts that have been found on Bowser Castle that I'm not sure are shown off here are pretty cool. There is a heck of a lot of... there's a heck of a lot of routes, there's a heck of a lot of tech that can be done. It's just... Again, these are really early time trials. This is mostly to set a baseline for when I come back and look at this again in like a month or two and see where we're at. So I plan on doing these like periodically, more or less, to like check up on the game's meta of sorts. Because I want to be invested in this game. I'm already going to be watching them, to be fair, anyway, to learn new tricks and tips. And I figured, hey, I may as well break it down for you guys at home as well, because, hey, you never know. Could be helpful. So yeah, again, coming up at the end of this track, there's not too much other than just good driving. You'll notice Bowser likes to release mini turbos as early as possible. Like that was a pretty close to perfect rainbow that he got out there. Anyway, another Bowser here at Koopa Troopa Beach. This one's by Alberto. Koopa Troopa Beach is a misnomer. It is not Koopa Troopa Beach. It's SNES Koopa Beach. I don't know why they changed the name to a name of a different track, but okay. I think this is specifically SNES Koopa Beach 2. But still, this is a very short track. It's not much in the way of tech, like, at all. It's really just turn tight. Know when to use the shroom for maximum effect. And that's right here. Otherwise, just take tight corners. That's it. Take tight corners, avoid off-road. Pretty basic, all things considered. And at least we'll be done it with this in like a minute and a half at most. Like, this is not a long track. You get in laps of 17, 18 seconds. Yeah. The only downside with this is it's a 5-lap track. You only get 3 shrooms, so it then you need to drive 2 separate lines throughout this track. You need to drive a shroom lap and a shroomless lap. To be fair, it's only about a second longer for shroomless, so like, it'd be nice to have 5, but at the same point, just knowing where to optimally use your shrooms should help well enough. And see, look at that, done in a minute and a half. Very easy. Not a very long track at all. Next up, Dino Dino Jungle by VF Jimmy. This is our only cow record Cal held the record for a little bit on Moo Moo Meadows, before Bowser came in and took it. How appropriate. So yeah, Cal players, pop the fuck off. You still have a record, I think. I'll have to check today. Actually, I can do that right now. I have my Switch 2 right next to me. Let's see, do Cal players still have a world record? Only one way to find out. I love how I'm doing this midway through the recording. Just get, I gotta know, man. I gotta know. That right there is awesome. A good bounce up onto the wall there to very quickly take another shroomless cut. Let's see, do they still have the record? View rankings. Yes, Cow still has the record. As of this recording, it's being held by JX Frozen at 147.89. So, it has gotten better. Cow still holds the record. Pop off, all you Cow mains. You still have a world record. Yeah, there's that route down there still with the Dino. Very much enjoy that. It's definitely slower, but it's still cool. Boosting through here, very tight line, avoiding the Dino there. That is awesome to see. Sorry, I missed out on some of the cool parts of this. I had to check if they still had a record. Great question block ruins. This one is by Scar. This is where the fun begins. This track, I don't know if this record's gonna show it, but some of the later records are insane. Okay, this will show it. That big trick there is cool as hell. You just slide right off of that. A lot of air tricks. I think that's just this player's style. They're doing a lot of upward air tricks. Hop off there, bounce off the ring onto the wall, back onto the ground. That is some of the cool tech that we are talking about in this game. This is just stuff you'd never see in any other kart racer, period. And that's what makes this game so cool and so fun to watch. It's so fun to play, because this is just a new way of, like, racing. It's not something we've ever seen before. It's just so cool. Hop off onto this rail, heading up this way. Another bounce off a pillar, get a boost. Oh, very low bounce off that ring! Very low bounce off the ring, but it's enough to save them. It's a huge cut. I'm not sure how much time that saves, but at the very least, it is the most stylish way to go through that section. And therefore, it should always be a part of a time trial on this track. I do not care if it ever... Actually, no, that should... If there's a faster way, they should be taking it faster. But, that is the most stylish way to do it, so I can't complain. Bounce off that pillar, hop off, bounce off that ring, onto the wall, and then trick off back onto solid ground. That is just the coolest. I love that. A couple of air tricks there just to mess around, it seems. I'm not sure what those were actually doing. Peach Beach by A.V. Olifer. Or Olifre? I'm not sure. I'm doing my best to pronounce your names as good as I can. Now, Peach Beach is a very different track from what it used to be in Double Dash and Wii. Not only can you drive here, which you couldn't do in either of those games, it's now a city track. And so there's like, every lap does something different now. which is very interesting. Like, there's a lot of new routes. Case in point, now we're heading up. So this is a section. This is basically a sectioned track in a loop. It's very weird. And there's a lot of new to this that wasn't ever here before. Probably more than like any other retro that I can think of. Unless you want to count Mario Circuit as a retro, and the fact that it contains like 3 or all 5 Mario Circuits from the SNES game together, that's up to you. We had a nice water section here. Again, this track is very much just a drive well. It's not. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of like special tech to do. It's just drive well, drive straight sort of thing. Again, look at Bowser. Entire thumb off. Oh, never mind. They're tilting slightly. Tilting slightly is definitely better than drifting in a lot of these scenarios. So it's all about using your soft turns as well as your hard turns effectively. Next up, Faraway Oasis by James. Penguin here even has a record. Like, I love how many goofy characters there are in this game, and it's a shame that like all the records are going to be Bowser in like a month, but we'll see. It's up to the cow to hold his record, and I think that they can. This rail here, very cool. Bounce off onto the high road, get another tight corner. Cut it very close to the edge of the waterfall, straighten up, release an orange, head into this corner. Early mushroom boost, but just enough to carry it through so they're not drifting too far outside. Very, very smart plays. Couple of tricks here, tricking off in the middle of this ramp to land on the rail, bailing out to the left, bailing out onto that wall, getting the extra airtime from landing in the water to land on that rail, tricking off of it, taking this upper route. It is a very, very cool route that very much splices between so many other paths that are you usually think are discrete, but no, just the way this game's mechanics work, you can just kind of weave your way between pathways, and it's a very awesome way of doing it. Yeah, you can bail off there, onto the sign, off the sign, do another couple tricks, mess with the animation a little bit. It's very cool. And there's the final turn. Pretty simple, all things considered. Well, not pretty simple. There's a lot of cool stuff there. Salty Speedway. I'm sorry I cannot pronounce your name. I do not know Japanese. This has some very cool tech, especially considering it's this track follows canal structuring. So there's elevated walls that you can jump onto to skip some turns. It's pretty cool how that works in that early section. And I think in the later section it also does that. Yeah, up here, it's also very canal structured. So they've got elevated walls that you could hop on, even if they are a little slower, it seems. Now you can use that to get yourself up and out of the main route, which is nice. Landing there, doing that extra trick to get a little bit of height cutting a corner. Very smart. We like to see that. Down we go. Just taking a really tight corner there. They already used the mushroom to break the boxes lap 1. I assume they're gonna... Yep, they're gonna mushroom through it again. That just seems like that's gonna be the mushroom spot of this track, which, you know, that's fair. I don't see very many cuts on this track at all. It really does lead me to wonder, though, what kind of hidden stats there are, because we know that there's several different types of driving. There's on ground, there's off-road, there's in the air, flying, and there's also on water. I don't know if there are hidden stats for speed for each of those, or what have you. It would be very interesting to find out. I'm not sure. This is Wario Shipyard by CB Raff. Another Bowser record. Again, you're going to see him a lot throughout here, that they're already taking the highest speed combo and trying to just brute force with as much speed as possible and see what happens. So they'll be going for the least amount of turns that they can, because Bowser is not great for cornering. Much better for taking straight lines and just going raw speed. Which is why I'm surprised that Bowser holds a record here. Is it just like there's enough straights for him to stay up? Also this is awesome. I love that sequence. Landing on a rail there at the very end. Very cool again. I assume all that sand is off-road. That would make sense. And landing in a mushroom boost to keep themselves moving through it. Cool thing about tricking on the water is that most of the time when landing back in the water off of a bounce, you'll get a second trick if you time it right. So yeah, again, hold very far left on that. Land on those masts. Get a couple more tricks out. Go a bit faster. Land on that rail for an additional trick. Get another boost. Land in a mushroom boost here to preserve as much speed as you can through that off-road. While also taking the corner as tight as possible. Yep, very, very tight corner there, even through the bouncy water. Many, many forward tricks here. Another really tight corner. Landing on the wall, bailing off. Heading as far left as they can. Land on these masts once more. And then back up. Ending it with a wall ride instead, because it's slightly faster than landing on the rail. That's very cool. I like that. This one is Cheap Cheap Falls. Another Bowser record. It's crazy how that keeps happening, huh? Just more and more Bowser every time. So this is another very water-dominant track. There's a lot of water. Most of the track is a downhill water slope. Like there's a lot of just dealing with the new weight and feel of your cart in the water, and that really kind of changes what you need to do here with that. With just controlling yourself in general, because it's a very different feel in the water. Like everything's very, very bouncy. Everything's a little harder to control, and your traction feels significantly lower. I wonder why. But yeah, tips and tricks on this track is really just know how to control yourself and know the difference between deep and shallow water. Because, again, your controls will change going between shallow water, where you're still technically on the ground, but slippery, and deep water, where you aren't on the ground, and it's more slippery. So it's really just managing crossovers between those two, because stuff like that is everywhere in this track. Like there, that's shallow water, that's deep water. This is deep water. But if you head over to the left, it's shallow water. And again, shallow water, deep water, deep water. Like, it's a lot of terrain transition that you need to learn and figure out how to corner those effectively. And that's why this track is a little bit more difficult to learn, at least from my experience, is because of that terrain change. This is YF Zoos on DK Pass. I mentioned Toadette earlier. We're mostly going to see Toad instead of Toadette, but we'll see both of them a few times throughout here. Very cool corner cut there by jumping off that pole. I very much like that you can like trick into basically any object and bounce off of it. That's pretty neat. It leads to a lot of inventive shortcuts of just bouncing on other objects that are placed in out of bounds areas or over pits that you normally wouldn't be able to do. It's a very smart setup. I'm sure we're gonna see it again here. Yeah, because that pole there, very conspicuously placed. Bounce right off of it, take a whole skip on that corner. Otherwise, DK Pass doesn't seem to be, or it doesn't seem like there's too much to really learn. It's just a lot of optimizing lines, and it seems like it's one of the less strategically dense tracks in this game. Like, there isn't nearly as much rails or as much wall riding, I think, as like some other tracks. Purely just because of the structure of the track, I don't think there's a lot of it. I've seen some cool stuff on it, but at the same point, it doesn't seem like it's faster, clearly. So I don't know, maybe the record has changed since I recorded this. It probably has. Again, it's been a few days. People are going to be grinding the hell out of this game. It's only going to get better. This is Kaname's Sky High Sunday. Shoutouts to this track. I love this track. I loved this track back in Mario Kart 8, and everyone thought I was crazy. A lot of cool tricks you could do there. Hopping off one rail to another rail, and then back off of the rail again. We take this middle rail there, hopping off, getting a couple tricks. A lot of air tricks coming out. And then here's the cool part. Getting a wall trick to jump a gap in the wall to be as low as possible, take that corner as tight as possible. Very, very smart. Not going for the rail this time, instead taking the glider. Getting a trick off of that terrain as their mushroom boost expires. Air trick there, getting a little bit of a boost. They aren't doing anything on the walls to the left, which is intriguing. But they are doing this, and this is awesome, so I don't care. They do another wall trick there, and then carry that wall trick off into a third wall trick. Bring up as much speed as they can onto the straight there before heading into the glider. overall, very cool run. Nice, weird jank wall ride on that. I loved that. That's a very funny thing to do, game. Love how I just pushed her onto the wall. Yeah, a couple minutes, not too much, but there's that. Moving on to Starview Peak by Isaac, we have another Bowser. Again, don't be too surprised, Bowser is the fastest character in the game. We're gonna see a lot of him through time trials, probably. I don't know if I would be surprised, or I don't know if I'd say it this early on, but at least the way things are developing right now, we could see a Bowser we could see a Bowser in a Funky Kong-like position throughout most of this, throughout the lifespan of this game, which, I'm gonna be honest, would kind of suck. But at the same point, we had the same thing through Mario Kart 8 as well with Yoshi, and earlier Waluigi, and in Mario Kart Wii we had that with Funky Kong. So, I mean, it's not all that surprising that someone's gonna find the optimal best combo. I'm just surprised it's this early. And that does kind of suck, but whatever, what can you do? Now, a lot of this is just tight corners here. As we come up to this section has a very, very cool skip. Mushroom boost through this, hop off and onto that rail, and then ride the normal ground terrain in a very tight loop as you keep the... I don't know what the name of that terrain type is, but I've seen it in several tracks, and I've just called it Boost Road. I don't know if anyone's come up with a more correct term, but yeah, on that keeping it tight on that boost road, keeping all four wheels on the ground, getting that boost as long as they can. Yeah, see that they're keeping themselves on that road to avoid as much airtime as possible, because again, water's wavy, water's gonna fling you up sometimes, it's gonna act very unpredictably, and not very fun to deal with sometimes, so avoiding water's probably better. Here's Moo Moo Meadows by Calcare. Again, this track was held by a cow for a while. This was the only player that I saw in like the top 8 that wasn't Cow. I think everyone was shitposting and just playing Cow on Moo Moo Meadows because that's funny. But no, Bowser turns out to be a slight bit faster. Busting through that fence there, the mushroom, keeping themselves inside that dashed white as much as possible. Getting as close to the off-road as they can without touching it. Again, very, very smart positioning. They pull a mini turbo there on that, which seems weird. I'm not sure why they decided to correct a to do a corrective mini turbo on that, or if that was, or I don't know if that was a corrective mini turbo, or if it was a poor attempt to, or just a snake, like turbo there. I'm not sure. It looked corrective, but at the same point, it seems really weird that you'd correct with a mini turbo while playing Bowser, because it's usually just faster to drive and like tilt the stick and not like correct it with a mini turbo, which is why I'm confused. Or maybe it has something to do with that little ramp there. I don't know. It does just seem weird to see a corrective mini turbo at any point here, because these are time trials. Like, in a game where the mini turbo seems to not matter nearly as much, to see a corrective mini turbo seems weird to me. Yeah, so we'll be heading into the back quarter of these tracks pretty soon. As you'll notice, most of these time trials come in at about like 2 minutes. So a lot of these tracks are fairly short when refined, which is very nice. I kind of like it. Makes it a lot easier to just kind of get going. Here's Toad's Factory by Terra, another Bowser. Toad's Factory has some cool stuff. I've messed around with it a bit, but I don't know if all that stuff is slow. It probably is just slower to do all the funky stuff I was doing. I guess we'll see. No trick off of that ramp, which is interesting. Not sure why they didn't do a trick off that ramp. They're not going on any of the walls here. They're just very simply taking inside line here. Why? Is that really that fast? That much faster? Not even using the girder, just shrooming through there. Clipping the edge of that boost panel and getting a low trick off that ramp. Yeah, like all the cool stuff about this track just seems to be slower, which, I mean, that kind of sucks because there's a lot of fun things you can do. Or maybe the alignment just wasn't right to do it lap 1, but yeah, see, this time they're taking the outside line, so I'm thinking it was slower for them to go inside on that, but no, they're still not going for it. There is a very cool trick you can do at the ending section there. That's veer left, land on the first girder, trick left off of it onto the second girder, trick, I believe, right off of that, land on the edge of the bulldozer, and trick forward on the bulldozer to land on the second bulldozer. Yeah, so off that girder, off to the second girder, on that bulldozer, and then onto the second bulldozer. And then right and then left trick off of that to land on the ramp. But it looked like it was faster. It may not be. This is Wario Stadium by Zooax. Wario Stadium is another track full of cool uses of mechanics. I am very much a fan of this right here. Very inventive use of the wall to just skip as much airtime as possible while still going fast. Very, very smart. Because you aren't slowing down if you're on the wall. So it keeps you up in the air without slowing you down. So, you know, that's good. A mini turbo through the tire, or not mini turbo, mushroom boost through the tires. Very, very conventional stuff. Trick left, or a normal trick onto that, and then trick right onto there. Do a corrective left air trick to straighten out the line before landing. Very smart. Very clean going through all this. Do this one more time on the wall. Again, very, very cool technique. I love the usage of the walls there. So remember, in Mario Kart games, airtime is bad usually. You slow down a lot more in the air than you do on the ground. So it's better to sit on the ground. One more mushroom boost, and a final air trick through there, and we're done. Air trick there to get less airtime. Again, very important. Less airtime means you move faster. Here's Airship Fortress! CX Emil P did this run as Toadette. Watch this shit. Hop onto the left rail, do a few tricks. Hop on over to the right rail, do another few tricks. Hop onto this rail, and bail off. That is the coolest way to open a stage. Period. I showed this off, or I showed most of that off in a short I did a couple days ago, or day 2, when I first saw this, and I was like, shit, I need to tell more people about this. This is fucking awesome. The alignment's a little different heading into lap 2. They're hugging more of the left edge, but otherwise, basically the same. Do another couple tricks there, go a little bit faster. Very, very clean. Bonk the wall a slight bit to slow down just enough to make the corner easier. Couple forward tricks there on that pipe. Now there is some funky stuff I've seen with people using these walls here, but like, it is 100% slower to use the walls. But it is cool. So, if you wish to use that outside wall and just kind of slide around on it, that's fun. You should try it. Will it win you races? Probably not as much as if you just didn't, but it's very cool. It could win you races because the shells aren't going to follow you up there. So, you know, you're at least a little more safe. Someone could still banana snipe you or hit you with a bomb, but like, most cases you'll make it out scot-free on that wall. Even if it is a little slower, you're taking the widest turn possible on here and getting no mini-turbo out of it. So, again, another very early mini-turbo coming out of that corner to go as fast as they can through that final stretch. Oh shit, Wario's back. This is Boo Cinema by Ethan. I don't remember there being too much tech in this track. I may be mistaken. But this track is very cool, just regardless. I do very much enjoy this track's aesthetic and its theming. Very, very unique for a Mario Kart track. I don't think we've ever seen anything like it before. But yeah, this track is mostly just taking good lines, all things considered. There's not too much in the way of, like, extra routing tech you can do here. It's fairly straightforward. And you know, that's fine. Not all tracks need to be as mechanically dense as some other tracks in this game. Like, we can have lighter tracks that are just easier and more fun, silly, just to drive through conventionally. Like, that's fine. There's plenty of variety in this game. Also, shoutouts to Wario being here. I think, don't quote me on this, I think Wario is better on this track purely for more of the sharper corners that there are. Had there not be as many 90s on that there, I think Bowser would probably be a better pick. But Wario comes in a good close second on the tier list, I think. Like, I think we're already starting to construct a tier list of characters in this game. And I think, if I remember correctly, it's going something like Bowser, Wario, DK, or something like that, on the top 3. It's the revenge of the heavyweights. We're so back, guys, and by that I mean not me. The Crustacean Nation is faltering. This is Nanu's Acorn Heights. Solid 2 minutes. I'm trying to remember what the tech was in this track, because I know there's a lot of routing here, and I'm trying to remember where the tech was. There's that very cool trick. Otherwise, it's really just hold inside here. Nothing too special. You don't even want to bail out onto the other rail. But you do want to take that cut really far inside. Oh no, this is the cool part, I think. So you right up here, trick off on there, go over here, and then right trick to straighten yourself back out onto the road. Very, very cool. Cuts a couple corners. Means less mini-turbos needed. Very good for this game, because mini-turbos are kind of pointless in a lot of cases. Works much better for, works much better for your higher speed, lower mini-turbo sort of setup. Again, we don't know if mini-turbo's a hidden stat yet, at least I don't know. Very easily could be, I don't know. It could be related to other stats. Again, we'll have to find out. But yeah, other than that ending section there, a lot of this is just very simple driving, take tightest corners possible. In that middle section, keep yourself on the road, but also inside as much as you can. You can land on that rail there, but don't go hopping onto another rail, just ride that rail out to the end. Bail out left onto this rail, bail out left onto that rail, and then bail out right to skip those last two turns. And you'll have yourself a 2-minute time. This one is Mario Circuit by Genzua. Oh, it's Genzua! I remember that name! I remember that name from Mario Kart! Or from Mario Kart 8. The technique of Genzua glider, I believe, was his or her making. I do not remember. This track is very funny. It's just 3 Mario circuits put together. Everyone's favorite Mario Circuit 3 is still here. Big 2 mushrooms on that cut. That is worth the 2 mushrooms then. Off-road mini turbo to get through there. Pull off right into Mario Circuit 3. Nice. Hop onto the wall barrier there. Skip off-road without needing to use a shroom. Very cool. Shroom through that corner. That makes sense. Cut it very tight on the inside. Very, very short track, only 1:05. Not very much in the way of tips or tricks for that. This is Dry Bones Burnout by MSRS Shion. Or MSR Shion. Another Wario track. Very cool to see Wario show up. It seems like he's the go-to for a slightly more twisty track that still favors speed, which is nice. At least we have some more variety than what we saw in Mario Kart Wii. Again, I come at this as a Wii fan, so, you know, I'm used to it, but I know a lot of people don't like seeing single character metas. And you know what? I agree. I never played the meta in Mario Kart Wii. I played Luigi. I like Luigi. He's my man. I was gonna play Luigi in this game too, and then I discovered the the allure of Crab. And sure, am I going to be as competitive as like time trialers? Am I going to be learning only the best characters for every single track? No. I want to play Crab. Crab is just funny. Okay, but anyway, that rail taking inside corner. Bailing off to take a different corner inside. I mean, look at how tight these time trialers are already taking most of these corners already. Like, it is, again, this is recorded on day 2 of this game being out, and they're already taking corners this tight. We're gonna see some pretty good optimizations, or we're gonna have to see more than just optimizations to start lowering these times. Because surely there's more than just optimizing, cutting a corner even tighter. Like, there's gotta be more routes that are faster that we just haven't discovered yet. And that's the cool thing about watching these every now and then, is sometimes you'll find new time trial routes that, like, most people aren't talking about, or that you're never seeing in a race. And it's just very interesting to watch how people play this game in time trial, because it's not exactly the same as how you'd play it normally. This is Bowser Castle by CXS, or CX Star S. This track is awesome. So instead of going up, they take the lower route on the outside here and do a hop left and then air trick to straighten themselves out. Skip that entire turn there. Those big sets of 90s up at the start. Very, very huge skip. Very, very precise. Hard to do without a lot of practice. I have yet to master it myself. I am still working on that. I do have plans, and I do hope to master that some point soon. This was another track I featured in some of the alternate routes, or in the alternate routes short, because this opening has just so many ways you can go about it. This is the fastest and also the coolest. Careful, if you don't hit that trick right, you may get stuck and just bounce off the wall. I was very lucky there that they kind of just slide over onto that just ever so slightly. It looks like they're gonna bonk every time. I don't know how the mechanics of that work. I don't know what keeps them from bonking on that, because it very much looks like they should just bounce away. But that is a very, very cool skip, and I love seeing that. It's those kinds of skips that really make me happy to watch, like, time trials do, because they'll just find the craziest ways to avoid playing the track. Like, again, very, very precise trick, but just look at that. It's so beautiful. It's so elegant. It's so good. Boost road section, not too much here to really think about. There's just this mushroom cut here, and avoid the lava. And that's basically it. That's Bowser Castle done. It's not much. Alright, we've got one last track to go. Here comes Rainbow Road. This one's by Diogo. Very, very long track at 4 minutes. This is a really long sectional track, and probably one of the most beautiful Rainbow Roads in the series. In my opinion, the most beautiful. I love this track. As for tech, I'm not really sure coming into this, because I haven't seen much on the tech of Rainbow Road yet. So, I guess we will be, learning together what the optimal way to race this track is. Okay, heading into the boost road section. Really just seems like take as much of a straight line as possible. Cut as much of a corner as you can. Veer ever so slightly right. Drift early. Get out of the corner as fast as possible. Oh, okay. Do that little skip there. Do a crossover. Like what you would do in MarioKart 8's Rainbow Road. Yeah. Here's the middle water section. I assume they're going to be trying to avoid the water as much as possible, right? Yes. That was cool. Wall trick off of there. Well, that wasn't a wall trick, really, was it? No, it looked like it was just a normal ground trick on that, rather than a wall trick. Another boost road section. Switch paths to take a tighter line. Head on through into Section 3. They use another mushroom. Okay, they use another mushroom there to cut off as much of the off-road as possible. It's very weird looking at a Rainbow Road and seeing off-road. That seems so wrong to me. Very tight corners. There's barely enough for Bowser to handle. And here we are heading into Section 4. Again, just go on a straight line as much as possible, avoid turning. Keeps yourself moving faster, especially in gliders, because there's no more glider vectoring. So your best bet is to avoid turning, because turning will make you go slower. It doesn't look like the tips or the tricks are too much here. It's really just really refined play. I don't know if that was me or if that was the replay that did that. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know why the camera jitters sometimes. It probably was me when I was recording, and I just wasn't sure. But yeah, these have been the time trials of early Mario Kart World. There is a lot of cool stuff that has gone on in just the first few days of this game. And I'm gonna do my best to keep making more content of it. I love this game, and I hope you all are enjoying it as much as I am. Again, subscribe, stay in the know if you want to see more tips and tricks as I find them, or just want to hear more about Mario Kart World, or if you just want to see more of my content. Like, that's also cool. Leave a like if you liked. I've been Jana, and I will see you all later. Take care.